Well, students, good evening to all of you. So, guys, today we are going to discuss the another topic of MEd, which is inclusive education. Right, guys? So, under this topic, first we will study about the what is inclusive education, then what is the need of inclusive education, then features of inclusive education, importance of inclusive education, and what are the obstacles comes in the way of implementing inclusive educations and what are the steps, okay, to be implemented, right? So these all things we will study under the inclusive education. So first we understand the meaning of inclusive education, right? See that picture. In that pictures, okay, you are looking all type of students, normal students as well as abnormal students, okay, those who are handicapped, okay, uh, having the physical problem, right? So all the students, they are getting the education under a one roof. This is called the inclusive education. You can see in the picture, teacher is teaching to the students, okay, one student is a handicapped, you can see in the picture, right? So inclusive education is a such kind of educations where normal students and abnormal students, all kind of students, right, irrespective of any disabilities, they should be taught under a single roof. This is called the inclusive educations. Okay, we move to the next slide. Inclusive education, also called the inclusion, right? It is a such kind of education that includes everyone with non-disabled and disabled people, including those with special educational needs. Okay, means some are the students having the learning problem, okay, they need the extra attention. So every kind of a students, when they comes into a mainstream education, mainstream schools, this is called the inclusive education, right? Inclusiveness of education state that a normal student and a differently abled should get equal opportunity to get the educations to meet the special educational needs, right, guys? You are aware of the fact now, guys, some years before, okay, there are special schools for the such kind of a disabled person and such kind of a students, they need the special educational needs. You are aware of that many such schools have created, but why, what is the need of that? Okay, so what happens when they start studying in the special schools, okay, they have got the inferiority complex. Why they are different from the other person? So result comes in, okay, it comes in a very poor. Okay, so then the concept of a inclusive education came where normal children and differently disabled persons and the persons who need the special education needs, they should be taught under a one roof, right, guys? So inclusiveness of education state that normal student and a differently able should get equal opportunity to get the educations to meet the special education needs. Okay, some of the definitions we do about the inclusiveness. So the concept of a inclusive education, we will get in a more in the deeper way. Educationist has said, given the definition, inclusive education release new dimensions not only of a learning, however, of a specialized learning. Inclusive education, second definition, inclusive education is that education during which general students and the special students means, guys, those who are a differently disabled students and need the special attentions for the learning. This is called the special students. Okay. Inclusive education is a that education during which general students and the special students get an equal get educations along with the same faculty with no discrimination. Right, guys? So guys, why we are not supporting why we are not teaching the disabled persons with a normal student? Why? Okay, so we have to teach to the even disabled persons, even the persons having the special needs with the normal students. Okay, means we being a teacher, we being schools, we being administrator or management of the schools becomes the cause for not doing the better of those persons. Actually, I tell you, since independence, we are not giving the attention to the disabled persons, guys. Okay, sometimes we make the different schools for the different disabled persons. Okay, but guys, they have the right. Okay, it is in the constitutions of India. They have the right. They should get the education. Okay, they should get the equal opportunities. Okay, why we are realizing them? You are a disabled person. You cannot do this. Why? Means we are becoming the, you can say, we are becoming the obstacle in the way of progress of the disabled students and those students having the special needs. Got it? So what is the inclusive education? Inclusive education means where the normal student and the disabled students and the other kind of students need a special attentions. They should be taught under a single roof with the same faculty. Okay. Now we discuss in this slide what is the need of inclusive education. Okay. The need of inclusive education is necessary for every country because there are many such children who are different from the normal child. They are given education together because the ability of a learning can be increased in those children. This is the need. Guys, when you start giving the coaching to the disabled persons with the normal students, now the research says that they increase the learning power. And once you start once you start, you can say that making the such kind of a schools, yeah, giving the coaching after the class, okay, their learning power decreases. Got it? So next, what is the need of inclusive education? It provides an opportunity for a children in which disabled children get opportunity to progress mentally along with the normal children. This is the need. Next need is both normal and the handicapped children take educations together normally, due to which a natural environment is created between them, which develops a sense of unity, brotherhood, and equality among the children. Guys, not in the schools or even in the home, in our society. Okay, we don't have to, being teacher, being responsible citizen, we don't have to label to the students, you are a disabled person, you cannot walk, you cannot do things. Okay, you cannot compete with the you cannot come on the normal children, you cannot compete the normal children, right? So that's the reason inclusive education, this concept of a inclusiveness, inclusion came. Okay, so now next need of inclusive education, emotions like learning and social competition are also developed in children through it. In today's era, it has special importance because only this education can bring change in today's society. So it should be encouraged more and more. So guys, these are the reason need of an inclusive education, right? Next, we do also, in place of the old education system, the new education policy in 2020, okay, is being used in the modern times. It is important to highlight that inclusive education does not accept a particular school or a classroom. So guys, it has totally cleared. What is cleared? There should be a no separate school, no separate class for the disabled person. This is the responsibility of the teacher. This is the responsibility of the principal, school administration, to provide the education of disabled person with the normal person, right? If the person is a handicapped, this is your duty. You have to make a ramp in your school. Okay, if the student have the eye problem, means you can say that there is a some ear problem, you have to provide such kind of a equipment in your school to provide such kind of a equipment to the student. Okay, if different disabled person, they are not getting education in the same pace of the normal children, then you have to train your teacher so that he should be able to teach differently disabled person also, or otherwise you have to need a special educator who can teach the such kind of a student. Got it? Now this is the reason this subject has come in you, this topic has come in your med, because you are going to become principal. All right, you should be aware that you should have the such kind of a responsibility. You don't have to differentiate the different disabled person. Okay, this is your responsibility, you have to take care of that. And now separating disabled children from normal children is no longer valid, as children with disabilities have the same right to participate in educational activities as the normal children. Got it? This is the need of a inclusive education. Okay, now see that picture. See that picture, guys. Okay, there are two, you can say, personalities on your screen. One is a Stephen Hawking. He was a great scientist. And second one is a Einstein, Albert Einstein. So Stephen Hawking was a disabled person, right? He gave the theory of exploding black holes, quantum mechanics, worked with the space-time singularities. Albert Einstein, he was also a slow learner, disabled slow learner, right? He was a German-born physicist. He gave the theory of a relativity. He was a Nobel Prize winner in physics in 1921 for his explanation of a photoelectric effect. Science wale students honge zyada jante honge, right guys? So they are the disabled persons, right? And see the another picture of Zoe Clark. Zoe Clark, who was born without legs. He was handicapped because of the rare genetic disorder. Due to this, he set a Guinness World Record for the fastest 20-meter walk on two hands. So guys, being disabled, they have done wonders. They have done wonders. So who are you to differentiate these people, to label on these people? They cannot compete with the normal children. Okay, and you should understand, being teacher, being principal, we are the persons who becomes cause for the such children not to progress. Okay, so that's why inclusive education concept has come. Even in our new education policy, it has become, in the new education policy, there is no need of a separate school, separate class. It is the responsibility of the teacher, principal, administration to make available of all the equipments, all the needed things for the disabled persons or the persons having the special attentions. Right, guys? So this is all about the inclusive educations. Now we discuss what are the features of an inclusive teaching and learning. Okay, when you start such kind of a teaching and learning where you give respect, knowledge, teaching to all the students, irrespective of a disabled, normal, irrespective of, because every kind of a persons, when you start giving teaching to them, so what will happen, what the features of inclusive teaching and learning says that all students have an equal right to education. Classroom should be made up of students with mixed abilities. No children should be separated from the main groups on the basis of discrimination. Appropriate activities should be planned, such as each student's personal needs taken into consideration by the principals, by the teacher. Okay, create an accessible environment, wheelchairs, ramps, visual alternatives to lesson content for students with hearing impairment. Some of the students having the hearing impairment, there is a need of a sometime having the some problem in eyes problem, can't see the, in a clear, so you have to make available these equipments in your schools. Okay. Support should be provided to all students to assist and allow them to reach their full potential. Right, guys? Because we have seen that being disabled, they have done wonders, right? Now, what is the importance of inclusive education? First, identify and determine the special needs of the various children free from physical defects. Okay. Second importance is, before they reach a serious condition, first of all measures should be taken for their prevention. So, dekho guys, this is a very much important. Second line is, okay, basically we become the cause of the serious conditions. Sometimes now, because suppose students having the eye problem, he or she cannot see the properly. Okay, so we don't make available kind of, you can say, spectacles to that students. So what happens with the passage of the time, serious conditions ho jati hai, right? So we are the persons, because guys, teacher is the second parent. Okay, lot of time, most of the time, students gives in the schools, right? Third is to provide educations to the students through various innovative methods of working, keeping in view the learning problem of the children. So guys, you have to train to your teacher. Okay, if okay, I accept that some of the students, they are not pacing with the normal children. So guys, you should have that ability. So why you are called as a teacher? So teacher, because teacher has the ability, you should know different method to uplift the below average student up to the average level, right? But you start labeling, they cannot, they are the very weak students, they cannot uplift, right? Because of you have the problem, you don't know the proper teaching method. This is the reason now B.Ed and M.Ed, you have to go through the B.Ed or M.Ed syllabus, then you become expert, then you become teacher, then you become effective teacher, right? Next, rehabilitations of a physically challenged children, to provide information about the learning problem of a physical challenged children, to provide information about the learning problem of a physically challenged children, and to prepare group organization for improvement, find out the disabilities of the children and trying to redress them. So these all things you have to do, right, guys? Okay, now we discuss what are the barriers comes in the way of a inclusive educations. So ye dekho, first aa gaya lack of a teaching skills in teachers, hai na? I have just discussed. Okay, lack of the development teaching skills in the teacher. Guys, teacher doesn't have fully trained. Okay, so they start labeling. You have seen that in the parents teacher meeting, sometimes being teacher reports to the principal, those students have got a very poor marks, they are very weak students. Okay, and principal also convinced them, okay, it can be, it might be they are the very weak students. But guys, this is not right. Okay, problem is in your teacher, problem is in the principal. Okay, because they don't know the whole method of teaching, they have the lack of a teaching skills, right? Student is never ever weak in the world, always teacher is weak, principal is weak. In the point, social attitude, next barrier, discourage the privileged student by creating a societal perception that these people are not able to do anything. No, you are you would be agree with me. Sometimes social attitude, even parents, teachers, and other persons, they develop a social attitude. If they are the disabled person, they cannot do progress. Physical barrier, syllabus देखिए, while designing the curriculum, it should be kept in mind. Curriculum should be so flexible, useful, and suitable for the general and special children or disabled children. Why we are making the tough syllabus? Why we are making? Guys, we have to develop the complete personality of the student, being teacher, being principal, being parents, and we are making the tough syllabus. Why we are doing such kind of a thing? We are not dictators. We don't have to dominate the students. We have to develop the personalities of the students freely and fully. We have to develop the harmonious development. Guys, while deciding the syllabus, making the syllabus, we have to keep in mind the average students, below average students, intelligent students. We have to cater all kind of students, right? Barriers to Indian education policies. Education policy sometimes hinder or create obstacles in the way of inclusive education, right? Okay, now in the last slide, we talk about what are the few measures we have to take for implementing inclusive education, right? So inclusive education helps the disabled child to develop a sense of a pride in their work. Guys, you start giving respect to your student. Student will automatically be progressed. Student will automatically, they will develop the pride, sense of pride, okay, and they would start learning. Sometime now, when the teachers start or principal start scolding to the students, okay, so they becomes a weak. The research says, I'm not saying that, okay, they actually feel like okay, starting se main padhta hu. Few measures for implementing inclusive education. Number one, the first bullet, inclusive education helps the disabled child to develop a sense of a pride in their work because they actually feel like they accomplished something. We know that. Here I have given, one example I have written, okay, just to, understand you about the inclusive education and, few major steps taken for the inclusive education. We know that Albert Einstein was a learning disabled, but still managed to become the greatest mind of the 20th century. Educating children with disabilities alongside their non-disabled peers is considered one of the better ways to provide education to the populations in India, said by Shah and Shah, 2005 and 2014. Right? The government of India needs to bridge the gaps in their education system to build a strong system of inclusive education in the country so that there are following measures for better implementation of inclusive education in India. Okay, next, this is the last slide. Implementing the right to educations. You know that na, Right to Education Act, which came in the 2010. What the Right to Education Act says that, every students, they should get the, primary and elementary education free of cost. All students having the right, irrespective of even the able student, means normal student or abnormal students, okay, they all having the right for the equal opportunities. Right to Education RTE Act says that we should implement that RTE Act. Even government has implemented, okay, but some of the schools, they are not implementing, right? That's why the new education policy in 2021, which drafted by the Kasturi Ranjan, he has, it is given no need of a, separate schools. State and central government as well as the other social actors should recognize the importance of the broadened concept of inclusive education. The policy of inclusive needs to be implemented in all the schools and throughout the Indian education system set by the National Curriculum Framework 2005. NCF 2005 आया था, उसमें भी यही कहा था. Preparation, this is the important, देखो, which I have underlined. Preparation of teachers for rural special education programs should be planned to integrate disabled persons in their own environment and community. Inclusive education should be flexible and must be reflected in the method and material used to give these children the widest possible access to the regular curriculum. Next, a school-based support system should develop strategies for the whole school to meet the needs of a learner with special education needs. And last, parents have a right to be involved in all decision making concerning their child. They should be seen as a partners in the education process. Okay, and other is bringing special education children into a mainstream requires adjustment that school needs to make in advance. Transport facilities should be altered so that these children can move around with relative ease. Student-oriented components such as medical, educational assessment, books, stationery, uniforms, transport allowance, reader allowance, and stipend for girls, support services, assistive devices, boarding, the lodging facility, therapeutics services, teaching, learning material, etc. should provide according to the needs of the students. Means ये सारे के सारे ये equipments हैं related to the physical impairment, na, and having the eyes problem, ये all equipment school should have, right? Next, देखिए, this is the important. In service training programs of the 2 to 3 weeks duration for in service programs means the programs given to the teachers who are on the job. This is called in service teachers. Okay. और प्री सर्विस कौन होते हैं? प्री सर्विस आर दोज आर डूइंग द बीएड और एमएड. Okay. After doing the BEd or MEd, they have become the teacher. Okay, these are called the in-service teacher. So, you know, it is saying that there should be a training programs for the in-service teachers, for general educators and special educators in all the disabilities and in the specific areas of a disabilities should arrange to effectively teach children with disabilities. Means the teachers who are on the job or doing the BEd MEd course, they should be given the, you know, you can say seminars, workshop, and such kind of an induction program so that they could become trained to handle the, you know, disabled student. Those schools that are committed to taking in children with special needs, then teacher must attend workshop in order to be adjusted to the child's needs. So thank you so much, guys. So these are the, you know, measures which we have to take for implementing the inclusive education, right, guys? So in this lectures we have done about the inclusive educations, meaning of inclusive educations, then what is the need of inclusive education, features and importance of inclusive educations, and we did the barriers of inclusive educations, है ना? Lack of teaching skills, है ना? These all the things, right? Barriers. And then last, what are the measures we have to take care, we have to take in order to implement the inclusive education. Means जिसमें हमने, we have done that RTE Education Act we have to implement. Okay, so all things, you know, required, the, you know, equipments school should have, even the proper training of the, you know, in service teacher, how to teach to the disabled students, these all we have to implement. So thank you so much, guys, for this lecture of inclusive education. Thank you.